Ahoj úžasňáci, já vás moc zdravím u nového podcastu a tentokrát se zase vrhneme na nějaký storytime nebo spíš než storytime povídací podcast v anglickém jazyku, takže skvělá příležitost pro vás zase procvičit poslech a zároveň se dozvědět nějaký insights z mého života a dneska to bude fakt peprný. Nechám vás nahlídnout hluboko pod mojí kůži a to konkrétně právě v rámci tématu špatné body image. Pokud neznáte termín body image, tak je to, nebo špatný body image, tak je to, řekněme, negativní až nenávistný vnímání vašeho těla a toho, jak vypadáte. To znamená, že člověk, který má problém s body image, tak se nevidí tak, jak reálně vypadá, ale vidí se mnohem hůř a nenávidí se za to a je to reálně mentální porucha. Hodně lidí, kteří právě trpí poruchou příjmu potravy, typicky anorexie, tak i přesto, že jsou vyzáblí úplně na kost a jsou tak, nevím, pár dní od smrti, tak se i tak uvidí tlustí. Neskutečně, protože tak prostě tahle ta choroba funguje. Ale já vám tohoto chci celý říct v angličtině, takže teď už tím nebudu zdržovat, ale jenom na začátek pro ty, co mě neznají, se vám chci představit. Moje jméno je Eliška Krásná a já pomáhám svým klientům dosahovat jejich vysněné úrovně angličtiny tak, aby je to bavilo, ale aby to zároveň bylo efektivní. Jsem lektorkou angličtiny, jazykovou koučkou, zakladatelkou projektu Výuka IO online, autorkou několika kurzů a e-booků a jeden z těch e-booků si můžete zdarma stáhnout v popisku tohoto podcastu, videa a je to e-book, který se jmenuje 5 tajemství efektivních studentů angličtiny. Pokud už ho máte stažený, tak super a můžeme pokračovat a teď už přepnu do angličtiny. Pokud nezvládáte úplně ještě poslech v angličtině, tak vám doporučuji jít se podívat na YouTube, kde najdete vlastně videoverzi tohoto podcastu, kde se dají zapnout titulky a dokonce i dvojazyčné titulky. Stejně nechám vám odkaz na všechno, i včetně návodu, jak zapnout dvojazyčný tady v popisku a teď už jdeme na to. So, hello, let's switch to English now. I was wondering how to even, let's say, record this podcast. Like, what should I say? What should I do if I should prepare anyhow? But eventually I didn't really prepare. I've got a few notes that I want to mention. But I think that I should probably start in the beginning of what my journey with a very bad body image was like. And it started when I was a teenager, like when I was 13 or 14. I started really struggling with my weight, and I wasn't fat or I wasn't really overweight or anything. It's just that I felt bigger than other girls in my classroom, and like over time I got really focused on feeling fat all the time and feeling ugly, and it was really affecting my life a lot. So I decided that I should lose some weight to feel better in my body. What happened is that I actually did lose a lot of weight. I lost more than 20 kilos when I was 15 and 16, but unfortunately I also lost my mental health because I struggled with eating disorders for a few years, actually, maybe until I was like 21. So I struggled with eating disorders for 4 or 5 years of my life, which have been terrible years, and I wouldn't ever want to experience it again, but it taught me a lot of lessons. And the reason I'm sharing this is that I know that, let's say, majority of students or people that are following me on my Instagram and listening to this podcast are women. And women struggle with body image like in an extreme amount. Actually, I don't know a lot of women that wouldn't struggle with it, or at least, let's say, didn't in the past. I guess almost every woman did, and I think it's crazy. The diet culture is extremely toxic, and I'm really sorry that there is such a high number of women who either struggle with eating disorder or with bad body image. It can definitely ruin your life because, there is a reflection in the mirror, or you can see your reflection in the mirror or yourself in pictures quite like all the time, and there is no way how to avoid looking at you, and also like you live in your body and you can see it. Like now I can see like my legs, my arms, my tummy, like everything. So it's really difficult to distance yourself from constantly thinking about it. Because of having a bad body image, you also don't have enough self-esteem, enough courage, for example, to chase your dreams and meet the right partner, or go for the job interview you have always wanted to do, and like it has more negative consequences than people may think. Anyway, for all the women that struggle with bad body image or used to struggle with it, I have these few sentences that I have seen in one TikTok, and it helped me so much. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and read it, and like, please now stop doing what you're doing and just listen to these sentences because they are game-changing. So, when you were 12, you wanted a smaller tummy, less body hair, or thinner thighs. When you were 16, you wanted a smaller waist, a bigger bum, or a smaller nose. When you were 26, you wanted a tighter skin and your teenage body back. When you were 30, you will realize how cute you were at 26. When you are 40, you will ask yourself why you ever thought you weren't beautiful at 30. When you are 50, you will just want your joint pains to go away. And when you are 80, you will realize you regret it every time you have ever looked at your body with dislike. Oof, this is extreme, and it's actually true, because you will never be 100% satisfied. And the one thing that I fear the most is looking back when I'm old at what I used to think about myself, and how I used to feel about my body that was perfect as it is and as it was, but I was constantly thinking that it's terrible, I'm ugly, and I don't even deserve to live on this planet because I'm so ugly and so fat. And I know that it sounds extreme, but this is really what's going on in heads of people who struggle with that. Like, I am talking from my own personal experience, and especially there was this passage that when you are, let's say, 16 and 26, you think you look terrible, but then when you are 40, you look back and you are crazy about the thought that you ever thought that you looked terrible when you were, let's say, this old. And this is exactly what happened to me. Like, when I was 15, when I was 13, or even when I was 18 or so, I would bet that I was the fattest person on planet, and that I would swear that I am overweight and ugly and all of that. But now I look at the photos from that time and I am just staring at it in disbelief, because I was beautiful. I wasn't fat at all. I was actually skinny, and I can't believe that I ever thought that I looked as I didn't. It's really tricky because what you see in the mirror isn't really right, isn't true at all, not even right, like either of them, because it's literally a mental illness, and you are not able to be self-aware enough to see it, and you can only realize when you look back in a few years. So anytime I feel bad about my body now, which luckily happens very rarely, I always think of this and I tell myself, this might be just a false belief that you have right now, and you will see that in, I don't know, a week or in a month or in a year, it will change, and you will see that you don't look the way you think you do. And I would also like to mention a few, let's say, points or a few tips that help me with my bad body image. And actually, I cannot really say that now I have a bad body image, because I don't think I do. Generally, I think that my body is quite hot and I love it, and I wouldn't change anything about it, which is a huge progress for me to even, let's say, be able to say and to really feel it and think it, that I'm beautiful, hot, all of that. Like, I love the way I am now, and it's a great feeling. So, and I come from the time when I thought that I was the ugliest person on the planet. So you can trust me that these tips are really helpful, or at least they did help me. So the first thing, or the first, let's say, fact that helped me is that your body is the least interesting thing about you. Think about your friends. Have you ever thought that the reason you are friends with that person and why you love this person is because they look a certain way? I don't know about you, but I have quite a few friends that I love, and I have never thought about their bodies. Like, I have never thought about it in a way that I would either, let's say, love them more or less based on what they were looking like. Like, I would love them in any body, if you know what I mean. So why are we so obsessed with the way we look when nobody really cares that much? Also, another thing is that no matter what a person looks like, you can still love them. You can still be their friend. For example, all of you've got most of you have got parents, or I don't know, friends, partners. Imagine now that your parent or friend or partner gained 20 kilos. Would you still love them? Because I would. Like, I wouldn't care. Maybe I would make a note, let's say, regarding their health, because maybe gaining 20 kilos isn't that healthy, but it wouldn't change anything about what I feel for them. So that's basically a fact. Another thing or a fact to realize is, let's say, to answer a question, do you want to have experiences or a perfect body? Because to sustain a so-called, quote-unquote, perfect body, you really need to sacrifice a lot. You need to really be extremely careful about what you're eating. You need to be going to the gym. You cannot really drink any alcohol and like all of these things if you want to have the perfect physique. But if you want to have a great body that you feel good in but isn't, let's say, quote-unquote perfect, you can instead have a lot of experiences. For example, I told you that, let's say, since I was 15 until I was 21, I struggled with eating disorders. I've got to tell you that I don't have a lot of experiences. I cannot tell you that I went on this amazing holiday, that I went on this amazing party, that I've tried this food, and actually I didn't socialize almost at all because my self-esteem and body image was so bad that I couldn't really participate in any social activity. So when I look back, I would change that mindset and I would really let go of trying to be perfect and to be skinny and, I don't know, fit and muscular. I would just say fuck it, and I would go and experience all the beautiful things that we can experience when we are young or even when we are old, basically when we are on this planet. And let's say one shocking thing is that when I was no longer struggling with eating disorders, my body was really starving. and because of that my hormones weren't really balanced, and I was feeling like constantly hungry, and I was also very, very skinny for my body type. And when COVID started and the gyms closed and basically everything changed, in the year I gained 20 kilos because I was just like so hungry. My metabolism was so slow, and I really needed that because I let go of all the restrictions I had in my head, and I just wanted to be healthy again. But the negative temporary consequence was that I gained a lot of kilos. And when I was supposed to go with my friends for let's say after Christmas stay and a New Year's Eve party, I was really ashamed for them to see me after the 1 year when I changed that much, because you know, a lot of those people saw me when I was 20 kilos lighter, and now I was supposed to go there and show them that I have gained that much. Like, of course, there were some other reasons, ongoing problems that I am not mentioning here, but this was one of the reasons why I really didn't want to go. And until my friend called me and really persuaded me to go, because actually I cancelled it. I said I wouldn't go, and I went. So if I didn't go, and if I again decided to act on my fear of not being pretty enough, I wouldn't have been now together with my husband, because I met my husband there and he fell in love with me even though I was quote-unquote fat and overweight and ugly in my eyes. And this is another false belief that people and women generally usually think that nobody can love them unless they are skinny, and that's what I thought. But getting together with my husband really showed me that the body is the least interesting thing about me, because if it was that interesting and if it was the most important thing, my husband probably wouldn't be my husband right now. And of course, since the cottage, I lost 20 kilos again, and I am now back on the previous weight. And so now I look quote unquote good again. But for me, it's really nice to know that my husband would have loved me even if I had, let's say, 20 extra kilos, because it's not about the weight. And for, let's say, the conclusion, I just want to say that it takes time. It takes a lot of what's it called? I cannot remember the word in Czech. Yeah, effort. It takes a lot of time and effort to start liking at least your body, or maybe the first step is to start accepting your body, then to start liking your body, and then the final step is to start loving your body. I would say that I am now in the, let's say, second phase. I really like my body, but I know that there is a room for improvement, because I still struggle from time to time with some bad body image days, but that's normal. And the important thing is that you don't act on the thought, you just let it go. So I hope that sharing my story about body image helped you, that you have actually practiced your listening. And tell me what other topic should I record next, because I'm running out of ideas for these podcasts when I am supposed to be only speaking about myself and or some other topic. So just let me know, it will be super helpful, and give this video or podcast a thumbs up, because it will help me with my YouTube and Spotify podcast growth. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any other episode, and I'll be looking forward to hearing from you and reading your messages of feedback. Yes, that's it. So see you then.